Recently, I was speaking at a newly opened center of ISKCON in Surat, which is a major city in India. Surat, for centuries, has been a wealthy commercial hub, and even today there are thousands of wealthy families living there, and many of our devotees in Surat, family devotees, are from wealthy backgrounds. So I gave them a challenge. I said, look, this city is full of so many wealthy and pious people. They have Bhakti Bhav, but Gyan ka Abhav. I was speaking in Hindi. They have a natural pious tendency to be devoted to, well, should be to Krishna, that's the point. It sometimes is, but often due to Gyan ka Abhav, a lack of proper knowledge, their devotional, pious feelings get misdirected. I was speaking in Hindi there, but I'm speaking in English now to reach a wider audience. So, what can we do to reach out to and help to properly direct so many pious but misled Hindus? The solution? Srila Prabhupada's books. For years, India has been huge in book distribution, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. Much, 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 much more could be done. Well, let's say India has been big, but it should be big, 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 bigger, huge, 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 huge. So my challenge was, I said to Radha Charan Prabhu, because he's from the Hindi-speaking background. In Surat, there are many people whose home language is Hindi and many Gujarati, and many of them both are very wealthy. So I said to Radha Charan Prabhu, who himself is from a wealthy background, you should make it your business to see that in every well-to-do home, we're mostly talking about business families here, in every well-to-do home in Surat, the Hindi-speaking crowd, you should see they have a set of Srimad Bhagavatam translated and commented upon by Srila Prabhupada. And to Radhesh Prabhu, who is from a Gujarati background, you have to do it among the Gujarati well-to-do people. Of course, we're not for well-to-do people or against others, but it's just a fact that they can afford to take the books, and they're generally very pious people also. So I set them up. Now you have to see every home in Surat, at least beginning with the wealthy people. They have a full set of Bhagavatam from the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. And you too can make a competition. You have to, obviously it's not individually they're going to go home to home, but they can organize the devotees to get the books distributed. Let's pit the Gujarati team against the Hindi-speaking team and see who can come out on top. As I was saying, book distribution in India has been way ahead of other countries for many years, but much, much more can be done, can be raised to significantly higher levels. ISKCON is well known and respected in India. So let's take advantage of that prestige that our movement has and approach people and give them Srila Prabhupada's books, especially this Bhagavatam set, which Srila Prabhupada, he said that his purports are his devotional ecstasies. His writing and translating is his main service to his Guru Maharaj, and the main book that he spent most time on presenting was Srimad Bhagavatam. So let's get out thousands of Bhagavatam sets. We can do it in India. I was just talking about Surat, but it can be everywhere, at least first to our own devotees, people who are coming regularly, and especially those who are initiated or readying themselves for initiation. They should have a full set of Srila Prabhupada's books, at least the Bhagavatam. If they already have the Bhagavatam, give them a set of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's there, of course, in English, and it's been available in Hindi and Gujarati for many years also. Often we give to newcomers Gaurnitai deities, and they don't know what the proper standard of worship is or any such thing. I would say better give them a set of Srimad Bhagavatam and get them to study and understand what Krishna consciousness is all about, so that they can become serious and not just pushing them in a sentimental way. Of course, even in a sentimental way, if one worships deities of Gaurnitai, that is for their benefit. But if they study Bhagavatam, they'll get a good, solid understanding. Bhagavatam presented by Srila Prabhupada, they'll get a good, solid understanding of Krishna consciousness, which will take them up from the neophyte sentimental level in which so many deviations are possible, to the solid platform of Madhyamadikar, the middle level by which one can progress properly toward completely pure devotional service. So yeah, let's distribute lots of sets. Generally, here in India, and maybe in other countries also, during the month of December, our devotees get very active for distributing many books, especially Bhagavad Gita, because the Mokshada Ekadashi always comes in December, and that is the day celebrated on which on which Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, sometimes, often, improperly referred to as Gita Jayanti. So devotees, especially during December, for many years, they made a great effort to distribute lots of books, especially Bhagavad Gita during that month. But somehow the idea seemed to have arisen that we distribute books in December, and then the rest of the year, hardly at all. December is the month for book distribution. Now it's come up for Bhadra months. Let us distribute sets of Bhagavatams in Bhadra. Very good. But why only Bhadra? We can do it throughout the year. It's good that devotees get involved, but the real thing is to do it 12 months a year, and then make an extra effort during December or Bhadra months or whatever, but don't only do it during the marathon. India's got tremendous potential for book distribution, and there are Indians in so many countries, so there's good potential for doing this also in countries where there are many Indians, the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, various countries in Africa. Especially we're talking about distributing books to Indians. Of course, they can and should and must be distributed to all people of all races everywhere, but I'm just talking about taking advantage of the inherent piety among many Indians, most Indians, Hindus, and the respect that ISKCON has, that now this can be channeled to giving out so many books to them. And as I'm saying again and again, let's do it big. Srila Prabhupada said, think big. Let's think huge. Let's make it huge, huge, huge book distribution. If we look at the figures for book distribution in India, they are huge compared to the rest of the world. If we take out one or two other countries, India does more than the rest of the world combined pretty much every month. But more can be done. Let's make the figures that we have now seem small. I was told after I met devotees, about 2 weeks after I was in Surat, and I gave that talk, I met some devotees from Surat, and I asked, well, what are you doing about it? Have you started? And they said, yeah, we've started. One thing they've started, they're going to have organizing Bhagavat Saptahas, 1 week recitations of Bhagavatam. Of course, Srila Prabhupada was against this idea of having a 1 week recitation of Bhagavatam by professional speakers. But he wasn't against it being done by properly situated devotees who do this Bhagavat Saptaha, but they go on throughout the year, studying and reciting Bhagavatam, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So this is it's a good way to get people to appreciate the Bhagavatam, because the culture of Bhagavat Saptaha is there or among Vaishnavas in much of North India, well, Vrindavan area, and in Gujarat also, especially in Gujarat. It's probably due to the influence of the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya. Apart from the Gaudiyas, the other Vaishnava Sampradaya that gives much, much importance to Bhagavatam is the Vallabh Sampradaya. So that can be organized, and people know it's very pious to attend a Bhagavat Saptaha. They know that it's very pious to sponsor, because it requires some money to sponsor and to give food and everything. So what devotees have come up with, we get people to sponsor a Bhagavat Saptaha. They're calling a devotee from ISKCON Chowpatty to give the talks, and then the person, they approach a rich, pious person to sponsor. So he becomes like the Yajaman, which means the sponsor. In a yagya, there's the Yajaman, the sponsor, who gets the pious credit for sponsoring it. So often the recitations of Shastra, they are referred to as Jnana Yagya, which is also a term from Bhagavad Gita. So the recitation of Bhagavatam, it's presented as a Jnana Yagya, and pious people are asked to sponsor it. And then, as part of the sponsorship, they have to sponsor 100 sets of Bhagavatam. And I didn't go into so much detail, I was just meeting them briefly. So this is a good idea. Get 100 books out at a time, and maybe you could sell a set of Bhagavatam to the people who are attending also, because we're thinking about those who are attending, calling people who are not exactly in our ISKCON line. And yeah, that's a great idea. You could give the 100 sets to the sponsor, or you could ask them, hey, you want 100 sets? You want to give some to us to distribute? And then you can distribute them to various parties. I have an idea. Distribute them in Surat city, and then the surrounding district. You could first of all go to the mosques and madrasas. How about that? In the present tense atmosphere between Hindus and Muslims in India, increasingly tense atmosphere. How about this? You first of all, you have to ask in advance the different people in the who are leading the mosques and madrasas. We'd like to present you a set of these books, Bhagavatam, as a token of friendship and sharing what we are following. And I'm sure many will be willing to take them. And then when you've done all the mosques and madrasas, then you can do all the temples in Surat, including Jain temples and Swami Narayan temples. Prison, there must be at least one prison in Surat, I would presume. It's good to put Srila Prabhupada's books in prisons, at least one set. And then you'll need to depute some devotees to do this, because to contact the heads of various of prisons and this and that, you have to contact them, and instead of you can arrange to send it through some courier company or something like that. But best is to personally go, have a photo taken, put it on the internet, and in this way make the most of your mileage. Get the most traction that you can out of giving out these sets of books. And then you can think of other venues to give them out. Don't give them to rich people. Let the rich people buy the books themselves. Or maybe you could give some as a wedding gift. And then once you've covered all the prisons, mosques, madrasas, temples in Surat, then you could think further beyond that. School libraries, there are so many things. However, this is a kind of passive book distribution, sponsorship. A great idea is to get everyone involved, because by distributing books, if we get in the mood of distributing books individually, then we become so enlivened and we feel ourselves connected to Srila Prabhupada's mission. Every devotee can take part in this. So many devotees, they come, they join in the kirtan, they listen to the talk, but they're not much involved in the active preaching activities. But everyone can get involved in this, including, sorry if it sounds patronizing, ordinary housewives. Phone up your friends. Tell them, hey, look, you should take a set of Bhagavatams. Get everyone into the book distribution mood. You can call up your relatives in other cities also. It's only, 8,000 rupees? It's, as I said for a set of Bhagavatams, as I said in that talk in Surat, there's so many rich people, they'll burn up 8,000 rupees in a few minutes in some useless entertainment, something like that. Of course, people will give excuses. I have no time to read. I don't have any habit of reading. And you can tell them, just keep it in your home. It's auspicious. It's good. Your children can read it. It'll help to give them a spiritual side to their character. You'll get the blessings. If you keep the Bhagavatam in your home, you'll get so much blessings and auspiciousness. Krishna will give you the intelligence, how to convince. Definitely people, they'll splurge 8,000 rupees just for nothing. And like I said, some entertainment, but even though pious, they may not want to. They may not want to. What am I going to get from these books? That resistance, it may come with many. Of course, I'm talking about distributing among pious people, so there shouldn't be too much resistance. But not everyone's going to agree on this spot. So Krishna will give you the intelligence how to convince people to take books. I suggested in that talk also that our devotees there, they contact Radhe Shamprabhu in Pune and Hyderabad. He's distributing so many Bhagavatam sets. Ask him for ideas. Ask others who are engaged in this for ideas. Share your ideas as you learn how to distribute the sets more and more and more. What is it that gets people to agree, to become enthused, to take these books? You could start off by estimating how many well-to-do families there are in Surat. They're mostly Hindus. Of course, there are some Muslims and Jains also, mostly Hindus. And estimate how many there are and make a program, set goals. Well, let's just say for the sake of estimating there are 10,000 such families. Of course, when we say wealthy, it's hard to say exactly what means wealthy and what doesn't. But just like if we go, there are so many cloth markets, textile markets in Surat, and there's each individual shops are there. And the shop may not be very big, but they turn over crores and crores of rupees of business, mostly wholesale business. And then there are mill owners, and then there's the diamond business. So we can make an estimate and then see how much time it's going to take to do. Let's make a goal. Okay, let's say, for instance, we want to do 1,000 sets in 3 months. Set it high. Don't make it so that it's easy. So you're going to have to push yourself and others to get this done. And then when you've done it, increase. And then we'll say, well, what if we cover the whole of Surat? Then we'll see. Then don't stop. Once you get the addiction, you can go on more and more and more. Krishna will give scope how to spread that more and more. And of course, I'm talking specifically about Surat because I was there in Surat, but this model can be shared and expanded everywhere, throughout India, throughout the world. And I'm talking about Indians in particular. Bharata bhumite hoilo manusha janmaja janmashartha kari karo para upaka. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave special importance to birth in India for people to make their lives successful by Krishna consciousness and then do good to others by preaching Krishna consciousness to them. So that's a fact, but it's not only Indians, as Srila Prabhupada points out in the extensive purport that he gives to this verse. Everywhere there are people who, well, at least we can say in the Western world also, apart from Indian people, there are people who have some kind of spiritual inclination, who have a feeling that human life is not simply meant for materialistic acquisition, and if you can get the intelligence how to distribute sets of books to them also, that will be a tremendous achievement. It's going on. It's being done. I was speaking the other day about Mahotsaha Prabhu in Atlanta and others who are selling sets of Bhagavatams to people just on the streets, in parking lots, and so on. So yeah, we've been distributing books for years, mostly one at a time to people. Let's get into it big. Let's make it huge. Let's make the Krishna consciousness movement all that it can be. Books are the basis. Srila Prabhupada always emphasized this is the most important program. If this program goes on well, then whatever other problems that inevitably arise, the rising tide of book distribution, ecstasy, and the mercy that comes from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will submerge other problems and make them seem very insignificant. Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Dante nithaya churnakang padayoni patyakrit vachaka kushatameta taham ravimi hey sadava sakala eva vihaya durad gauranga chandra charane kurutanuragaha. Parivadatu jano yata tatava nanumukara navayang vicharayamaha. Hari rasa madira madati mata bhuvi vilutama nartama nirvishama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.